This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
Hundreds of layoffs are possible in Granite City after owners announced a steel plant will be idled indefinitely. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. The announcement by U.S. Steel is the latest chapter in a cycle of unemployment at the Granite City Works plant. 5 on your sides, Annie Krall is live in Granite City to explain what today's notices could mean for workers and the laws protecting them. Annie.
Exactly. Well, the president of the Steelworkers Union here in Granite City told me that he actually met with corporate just this morning. They told him that they're likely going to send out even more notices about layoffs, and there are going to be more layoffs in 2024. But his question is, if the price of steel is high right now, shouldn't they be ramping up production rather than slowing it down? If an employee hasn't received their notice yet, it's likely going to come in the mail in the next day or two. They have already had 340 members laid off. Now the corporation saying that about 600 workers could lose their jobs. In addition, this plant has been announced as indefinitely idled, which means it's unclear when it could be back up and running at full capacity. Right now, workers are taking slabs from other steel locations to operate the remaining parts of the plant. The U.S. Steelworkers Union in Granite City says there are no immediate plans to make any changes to those operations.
It was no surprise. It's no surprise other than causing a whole lot of chaos for the members of the plant, thinking there's more going on than there is. The actual decision is they're going to continue to operate the same level of operation they're currently working right now.
I also spoke with Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski, who represents this area. She arrived in Washington, D.C. just today, but 2 weeks ago she introduced the Fair Warning Act, which if passed would actually give employees 90 days of notice rather than just 60 days of notice if there is a possible layoff. Reporting live in Granite City, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
Right now, local advocates are putting up a fight in Washington, D.C. A group of St. Louisans are at the nation's capital trying to secure compensation for victims of radioactive waste. Our Justina Cornell joins us in studio with more on their last-minute effort. Justina.
Yeah, and so the nonprofit Just Moms STL, along with other advocates, made a last-minute decision to fly out this morning. That's because a program helping victims impacted by radioactive waste could expire this summer. Now, I spoke to the co-founders of Just Moms to hear their message right before a busy day ahead, speaking to congregational leaders.
Every hurdle that's been put in front of RECA has been moved out of the way. We'll wait and see what the hurdle is now, but it's kind of almost been a miraculous journey.
It's been a journey to get here. And not just the flight this week to Washington, D.C. St. Louis environmental advocates, including the group Just Moms, have been fighting for years to land in this moment, and they're one step closer to justice.
Making sure that we've done everything that we could. We didn't feel comfortable letting it end at home.
This week, it's all hands on deck, trying to secure support for St. Louisans.
We just really felt like we needed to be here in person to make these connections one more time and really tell our stories.
The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, known as RECA, provides compensation for radioactive waste victims. This is included in the National Defense Authorization Act. Over the summer, Senator Josh Hawley secured an added amendment to the act.
And then the amendment adds St. Louis among other cities, along with New Mexico and Utah, some of our downwinder communities. We know that the legislation is kind of stuck, and we're going to meet with him and find out if there are ways while we're here to unstick it and what we can do. It's kind of our last week to do that.
Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee recently cleared this amendment, and now the advocates asked St. Louisans to call on House Speaker Mike Johnson and Leader Mitch McConnell. They don't want this to be the last stop on their legislative journey.
I think we're just really proud of what's going on and the partnership and the coalitions that have been built in this, and we're not done.
Now, they also plan to meet tomorrow with Congresswoman Ann Wagner and Senator Eric Schmidt. As for Senator Josh Hawley, he said he'll oppose and hold up the National Defense Authorization Act if it does not include compensation for the victims in the greater St. Louis area.
As a temporary truce stretches into a 5th day in Gaza, more than 1 million refugees of the war-torn territory have been displaced from their homes. Now a House Republican is calling on the governor to ban refugees from seeking shelter in Missouri. Our political editor Mark Maxwell has reaction from Governor Parson, who shot that idea down. Mark?
Mike, Governor Parson gave House Republican Chris Dinkins a bit of a civics lesson, reminding her the federal government processes immigration, asylum, and refugee papers. He also drew a distinction she wasn't willing to make between the Palestinian people and the religious radicalized terrorist in Hamas. Video from the Associated Press shows the catastrophic scenes of entire neighborhoods leveled, bodies buried under the rubble, and wounded children seeking treatment in pop-up hospitals in Gaza. In these last 5 days, some refugees have returned to look for belongings or loved ones, while hundreds of thousands have poured out of Gaza southward seeking safe haven. In a letter to Governor Parson, Dinkins said Missouri should send a strong message about our values, expressing great concern about welcoming individuals from regions whose belief systems, she said, are rooted in anti-American and anti-Israel sentiments. She said it's imperative that we take a clear stand in opposition to refugee settlement in Missouri, warning many individuals from the Gaza Strip would bring divisive and dangerous ideologies.
There's a big difference between Palestinian people and the people of Hamas. Hamas are terrorist groups that attack our country and hate who we are. We don't want them here under no circumstances whatsoever. But I don't think you want to take everybody that's from Palestine to make them as bad people. I don't know that. But the thing about it is, when you talk about refugees coming to our state, that is a federal government issue.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire even as the truce lingers on. The death toll has rapidly risen higher than 14,000 people already, and hundreds of thousands more fleeing that region seeking refuge. We reached out to Representative Dinkins to offer her a chance to explain her position, but so far she hasn't responded.
People in a North St. Louis neighborhood say they've had enough of illegal dumping. Couches, tires, and trash bags full of junk are littering the streets of Walnut Park East. 5 on Your Side's Diamond Palmer joins us in studio to explain what the residents want done. Diamond.
Well, and residents in Walnut Park East are calling for more cameras and ones with license plate readers to be installed to stop the illegal dumping. They say the area of Stratford Avenue and Planned Industrial Drive has been littered with junk for months. Residents say the city comes to clean up, but people are dumping faster than officials can clear the streets. The area currently has 3 cameras and a no dumping sign warning residents. According to the city's website, residents of majority black neighborhoods report illegal dumping nearly 4 times more often than residents of majority white neighborhoods. The city says residents can bring up to 12 loads of trash to city transfer stations a year with a valid driver's license and a recent utility bill. A junk removal service who comes to the neighborhood to scrap wood and metal says something needs to be done.
It's not just a one-way street. It's not just the dumpers. It's the community, the people's in the community. It's the residential people being lazy. It's all of that. You know, it's a lot. So I feel like we all got to tap in and get it right. All of us. I mean, when you're seeing stuff, you just got to pick it up, man. Don't throw your stuff out the window, keep it in the car, put your bag in your car.
Now, if caught for illegal dumping, people in St. Louis can face up to 30 days in jail and a $500 fine. I've reached out to Alderwoman Pamela Boyd, who oversees this ward, and we are awaiting her response.
Diamond, thanks. Coming up, breaking ground on a groundbreaking project in North St. Louis. The Technical Innovation Center designed to build a better workforce.
Plus, vacant houses are fire hazards in St. Louis, especially this time of year. The unique features many of these homes have and the efforts to preserve them.
And after our cold day, it's a cold evening in the 20s and 30s, but we actually see the temperature rise overnight. That makes for a beautiful day tomorrow. We'll tell you how warm it gets, and then that rain, I'll time it out for Thursday and Friday coming up.